Hey everyone, it's your pal Dave from notesandvolts.com, and in this video we're going to talk about Ableton Link and how to get it working with your old Midi synths. Back in the old day when we wanted to sync up our Midi gear, we'd use something called Midi clock. And then one day Ableton Link came along and it was like Midi clock with a bunch of cool new features. So not only does Ableton Link match the tempo of all your gear, it also keeps track of the beats and the bars. So you can set your sequencers to only start on beat 1 of the bar, which makes syncing your songs up very easy. Now another cool thing is there's no master clock in Ableton Link. So all the devices on your Ableton Link network talk to each other, and if you change the tempo on any of those devices, the other devices will figure it out and match the tempo. Now the drawback with Ableton Link is that it only really works on software. So if you have a bunch of hardware synths, you can't hook them up. So that's the problem I had. So I have a bunch of Ableton Link devices. So I have a Native Instruments machine. I have this Ableton Push that's actually running some software called Endless, which is a live looping program. And I also have a Tractor S4, so I can run Tractor and do some DJ stuff as well. But if you notice, I also have all these synths, which unfortunately don't speak to Ableton Link. So how do we fix that? So after doing some searching, I found a really cool app that runs on iOS or Android tablets. And if you have an old tablet lying around, this could be the solution for you. So here it is. It's an app called Link to Midi Bridge by a company called Planet H. And it only costs a couple of bucks, so if you have an old tablet, you're good to go. My tablet's actually very old. It's an old Galaxy Tab A, and it runs the app fine. So to use the app, you just connect your tablet to your Wi-Fi network and it will find all your other Ableton Link devices on that same network. And you can see here, it is synced the tempo to all my other devices, and it's showing me a 4-beat bar. And right now I have it set up so it's only gonna start on beat 1. So I'll start it a little early and you can kind of see that. And there you go. So it waited to beat 1 until it started. And you could set that here. So the number 4 is how many beats. You could set it wherever you like. And the top line here, basically you can set to show you a longer sequence. So right now I have it set to 4 bars. Now, like I said, Ableton Link, there's no master clock, so this is the tempo that all my gear is agreeing on, and I could change it here with the up-down buttons or on any other device in my Ableton Link network, and this will reflect the change. Now, the only 2 settings you really have to do is if you hit link, it will show you how many devices are linked. So I have 3 connection. That's my Native Instruments machine, my Tractor deck, and my Endless program. And if you hit the Midi button, it's going to show you what device you're connected to. I'm right now connected to my Arturia KeyStep Pro. So let me show you how I have this hooked up. I have my USB coming out of the tablet, going to my Arturia KeyStep Pro, which is kind of cool because the Arturia KeyStep Pro actually has 2 5-pin Midi outs. So I can take one cable, chain it to these devices, take the other cable, chain it to these devices, and there you go. I can hook up all my 5-pin Midi devices. Now, there's a couple of issues I had to solve to get this all working. The first one is I wanted to keep my tablet on charge. Now, unfortunately on these tablets, there's only one USB jack, which acts as the charging port and the data port. So I needed a way to get the charger hooked up while the data was still connected. And the way I did it was to get one of these little USB expanders. And basically this cable here goes to the USB charger, and that charges the tablet. And this cable here, I've got 3 USB outputs, and this just goes to my KeyStep Pro. Now apparently a few of these don't work on these older tablets. This one does. I'll put a link to it in the video description. And if you have a little lucky cat, make sure it is waving, because that helps as well. Now, let me tell you about the real frustrating problem I came up with and how I solved it. So when I first hooked this up, I hooked my tablet up to my Wi-Fi network. It found all the devices fine. My Ableton Link was linking and everything was great. And then I started playing, and in about 5 minutes, I lost the link. It shut off the connection and everything went out of time, and that's a disaster. You can't have that. So after doing a lot of troubleshooting, the way I solved it was to turn my Mac, the computer that all my software is running on, into a Wi-Fi hotspot. So my Mac is connected to the network with a network cable, so it's hardwired to the network, so I wasn't using the Wi-Fi for anything. So what I did, I set it up as a Wi-Fi hotspot, so when I check my tablet's Wi-Fi settings, my computer will actually show up as a connection, and I can connect directly to my computer instead of the Wi-Fi network. And once I did that, everything worked solid, and I haven't had any problems since. Okay, so let's do a little demonstration and you can see how this all works. So first of all, I'll start my drums. So this is going to send MIDI clock to my KeyStep Pro, and the MIDI clock will be transmitted to all my other devices, so they'll all be in sync. And of course this will wait until beat 1, so let's start it a little early. And there we go, boom. Perfect. So you can see all my sequencers started and they're all in sync and in time. Now let's add a little bass with the Mini Brute 2S, which has its own sequencer. We can do a little fill with the Chaos Pad. Very nice. Now the Arturia KeyStep Pro of course has 4 sequencers, so I can hook up these devices. So my TB3 is actually connected to this sequencer here. All right, very cool. Now my Arturia Micro Freak is also got MIDI clock coming in, and it's got its own sequencer, well not sequencer, arpeggiator. And if I hook up a patch with an arpeggiator on it, you can see it's right in time. The arpeggiator is tempo synced. Now, if I go over to Endless, I can run a loop from Endless and it's going to be tempo sync just like everything else. So I've got an extra bass going on here. Let me get rid of these basses so you can hear it. So now I've got a bass running on Endless, sync to my drums. Now let's add a loop from Tractor. There you go. It's all in sync. Very nice. And also any arpeggiated sounds I have on my Native Instruments machine will also be in time. There you go. Now let's get everything together. And And of course I could stop the drums. That stops all these sequencers. Bring them on beat 1. There we go. So there you go. If you've been looking for a way to hook up your Ableton Link gear to your non-Ableton Link old school MIDI gear, this little app really does the trick. So I hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.